Extremely blessed to be here in Columbia, Missouri, sitting down with Cornell Mann, assistant men's basketball coach, Missouri basketball. Coach, thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it. You and I have known each other for a while now, and the thing that stands out the most to me about you, your journey, your career is number one, the longevity, and number two, the authenticity. So talk to me a little bit about your start into coaching. Obviously started on the playing side. You had a lot of success there, but talk to me kind of how you navigated from the playing side to now where you're at 17 years later.
To start, obviously the playing side is the playing side, but through playing college ball in the summers, I would take time every summer and work camps. Back in the 90s, that was the way to jumpstart your career in coaching. First, obviously, you're a student athlete, and then you move, while you're student athlete, you move into coaching in the summer, coaching camps, whether it's, back then it was Metro Index camps or five-star camps. I had my own camp as a player, and then the schools in the local area, the colleges and universities in the local area, you hit those, and that's how you get started, because now people understand and know that you want to be a coach, and they get a chance to see you work. Even though it's a camp setting, you still working as a coach, and so they get to actually see you do it, but also help you with it. And it was some good people that helped me out as a young person trying to get involved in coaching. But then after that, I graduated from University of Akron and left University of Akron and went back home. And I was assistant coach for Michigan Mustangs. I just graduated, went right into be assistant coach for the Mustangs. And that team had Antonio Gates on it. It had Jason Richardson on it. Norm Oden was the coach. It had the Guest twins on it. Lorenzo is the strength and conditioning coach at Michigan State now. And they had another professional player on that team who actually got picked up from JUCO. He got drafted out of JUCO. And so that was the start of what is now where I'm at now. But so I did that. I worked guys out. Back then, you didn't charge people to work out, and so I worked guys out, and it was fun, and it was my pleasure to do so. But I worked guys out, and then I went to after 2 years, I went to Elmira College in upstate New York, where I worked for Pat Donnelly, who is the head coach of University Detroit Jesuit High School, and he was the coach for me when I was a player, and at Akron, and so that relationship turned around and gave me my start. Then I left there after a year and went to Kobe Community College in Kansas, in which I was after 2 games I was the interim coach for a guy named Bill Morris, who won 2 national championships, one at the Division II level and one at the NAIA level, both at Fort Hays. They went from NAIA to Division II. And that was a great experience. It was different, but it was great because I'm working for a guy who won 2 national championships. Then he handed over the keys. It was actually the best start ever in Kobe history at 10-0. And after that year, I went back to Michigan and worked as a teacher and as the high school basketball coach at Oak Park High School. After 2 years there, it just moved really fast. Central Michigan, 2 years at Central Michigan, where we won the regular season and tournament in the MAC. Then I left after 2 years, went to Western Michigan, where we won my first year at Western Michigan. We won the same regular season and MAC championship in the tournament. Then I left there and went to, after 5 years, went to University of Dayton. We had some success there. Went to the tournament, won the NIT. Then went to work for Fred Hoiberg at Iowa State, where we were, it was the best 4 years in Iowa State history. And we had a plethora of guys to work their tail off and get to the NBA, including Monte Morris from Flint. Then I set out a year when Fred took the job with the Bulls. I set out a year, and I actually traveled the world. I went over to China and took a team over to China to get them ready for the Asian Games, which then gets them ready for the Olympics. So I went over there with a team and did a tour of that. And then I had a couple universities that actually paid me to evaluate their program through that year. So I was still involved a lot. And I went to a lot of different places to just be around basketball that year. Then I did 1 year at Oakland University where, if you let Coach Campy tell it, we won a championship that year. And I also recruited Kendrick Nunn, who is, people would argue, but I would say is the best player to ever play at Oakland. And now I'm at the University of Missouri. And this will be my 5th year coming up. And obviously we had Michael Porter Jr., John Tate Porter, Cassius Robertson. We had some really good players and some pros, and looking forward to this year and having some more players, pros, and success.
So you touched on a lot that I want to unpack and talk about. But the first place I want to start at is kind of that gap year, if you will. You know, you took some time to see the world. Growing up as a kid in Metro Detroit, did you ever believe that basketball would provide the avenue for you to see multiple different states, multiple different levels, to travel the world, to be able to impact lives? Not only, you know, obviously we all have the goal or the vision to give back to our community and uplift it and bring up those that walk the same path we walked. You know, that stems back to you going back to Oak Park and being a high school coach and a high school teacher. But being able to impact people all over the world, was that ever something that you envisioned as being a possibility when you were growing up?
No, but no is the answer. But I don't know if, you know, basketball has done wonders for me in my life and obviously my family. But I think for me, it's I'm a servant to the game. I'm a servant to the student athletes. And the one thing, I just did a clinic back, the BCAM back in Michigan. And, you know, the very first thing I said, and I'll say this in just about every interview I have, is I hope each and every student athlete that's fortunate enough to earn a scholarship, get to whatever university it is they go to, and really delve themselves into their academics and become something super special with the opportunity that they have. With that being said, no, I didn't think that, but I appreciate the opportunity to do so, and I don't take anything for granted in terms of why or what I'm supposed to do for these student athletes. This is not about me, even though like the question, a great question, but this is all about the student athletes and their journey. And I'm just here to help navigate that. And I take great pride in helping navigate that. And I think one of the things for me is I try and do my job in that way, but I also try and help people around me wherever I'm at understand not only am I there for that reason, but most coaches should be there for that reason. And we all know that all coaches are not there for that reason, but I'm very hopeful that through the experiences that the student athletes get, at least they feel like every coach is there for that reason. And I think that's the most important thing for me. But I think it's been awesome to travel the world. I think it's been, obviously I'm not done yet, but I think it'll continue to be awesome to travel. But the game of basketball or things around the game of basketball is changing at a rapid pace, just like it is. It mirrors society. And even with technology, basketball changes or make adjustments. And I'm just glad to be a part of it. And it's awesome to be around people here at the University of Missouri. It was awesome to be around people who are like-minded and really feel like they are servants to the game and or the student athletes as well.
You touched on being about the student athletes and about their growth and development. And that's one of the things that always stood out to me about you. And, obviously, you never can talk about a recruit by name that's not on your campus, but you and I sat down and we had a conversation about a young man that you were recruiting. You came and you met with me and you came and watched him at a couple games. Never once did it come out of your mouth, hey, I can make him a pro, or I can help him on the court. It was, I want to help him be a better man. I want to help uplift him and help develop him in that respect. Talk to me about the process of helping these young men mature and get to a place. Obviously, you and I know, it's a very small percentage that'll make it to the NBA, right? But the majority of the guys you work with, they're at some point, they're going to be somebody's father. They're going to be somebody's husband. They're going to be somebody's teacher, somebody's, mentor. Talk to me a little bit about the process of building stronger men and utilizing basketball as the avenue or the conduit to make that happen.
Well, I think the first thing is you have to live a certain way in front of the student athlete. And when I say that, it's hard for us as adults and coaches to ask a student athlete to have high character and to move a certain way if in fact we are not moving that way or don't have the type of character that we talk about. I think that's the first thing. One of the things that I think we can do as universities in that is, I think it's important now. So one of the things I did not say in my movement, because we was talking basketball, but I graduated with a degree in family and child development. And so when I got to Detroit, I started out as a social worker, and I also was a mental health clinician at Detroit East Community Mental Health Center. And one of the things that I think, because of my background, one of the things that I think we can do is, I think it's very important for any university and kids and parents to understand that it would benefit everybody, and it would definitely benefit the student athlete if we found a way to not only have physical evaluations, because you cannot play unless you have a physical evaluation. I think it's important that we try and get to the point where we have psychological evaluations as well, because now you can help a student athlete if he has anything, him or her has anything that you can help them with. Now already. It shouldn't get to a point where something happens that triggers that. Now let's get them some help. Well, we can start at the beginning. So I think that's important. I think we'll get to that. When, I don't know, but I think it's important for us to try to get to that point. But living in front of the student athlete, understanding where they come from, what their background is, having a feel for, the coach and the rec center guy, and if the kid is a kid that has a faith background, and what kind of church, because sometimes churches are different, religions are different. Christianity has different Christianities, or it's different ways to be a Christian, however you coin it. And so you have to first learn as much as you can about the student athlete. And then you can engage them a certain way. Then you can engage them at their level, meet them where they're at. And you help them understand the why to everything. Because you can say, you should do this, or you should do that, or you should have done this, or you. But especially now in this day and age, kids need to know the why. Like, Coach, why are you telling me that? And I have to do that with my own kids, which really helped me. And it helped me when my son asked me about social media. I was on his tail about his social media, on him. And then he started to get to the point where he was like, okay, Dad, well, why should I take this down? Like, what's wrong with it? Okay, then now we're having conversations of what's wrong, and he's asking why, because at first it was just like, man, take that off. And so the constant dialogue and giving the answer of why really helps the student athlete. But the truth is they know, student athletes know when you absolutely care about them. They know that. Just like if you're a husband, you know your wife care about you. You also know she, but people know when people care about them. And it's no different for a young person. And I think it's important for people to understand that. You cannot coach a kid, and you definitely can't coach a kid hard if you don't have a relationship with them, if they don't know that you are 100% backing them. What you say, you're backing them. How you come at them on the court, because we don't, and I've never disrespected a student athlete ever, but if I'm raising my voice or if I have some urgency in what I'm saying, is because I'm trying to get you to a level that, be honest with you, you said you wanted to be at. And so it's just really is about showing love and caring. It's about doing whatever I can do to help this situation for this student athlete to be whatever it is he set out to be in life. And sometimes you have to help them adjust their mindset to see what they want to be in life. Not that I'm changing what a student athlete would want to be or want to do, but when you come into a university or into a program is one thing, and a lot of times the young people, they just want to play, and the student part somehow is in the back of their mind, and so it's our job to push it to the front of their mind, and it can be, I want to be a pro and I want to be this at the same level. I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a principal, or I want to be an athletic director. You can be a pro basketball player and be an athletic director and or ready to be an athletic director right away, academically, socially, and understanding the business of being an athletic director or whatever it is you want to do. You can do both of those and got a right to do both and should do both in order to elevate yourself. So I just think it still starts with the fact that you care for them, about them, and you care about their future.
You touched on adjusting their mindset or their perception. And I think a part of that is empowering them to dream beyond their surroundings or beyond the self-imposed or the societal imposed or the environmentally imposed limitations that they have already preconceived in their mind of what they potentially can be. Part of that comes with being relatable, and it comes with representation, them looking at you and seeing somebody that and not even just from a cultural standpoint, but seeing somebody that's been in their shoes as a Division I collegiate athlete who went on to have success both on the court, away from the court, involved in basketball, not involved in basketball. So there's a lot of relatability there. Talk to me a little bit about the ability to engage the student athletes, like you said, meeting them at their level, but also being able to raise their level and kind of change some of those societal expectations or perceived limitations that they have for themselves.
Well, one of the great things about working here at the University of Missouri is obviously working for Coach Martin. Coach Martin is very serious, very direct with how he runs his program, and a huge part of that is how he adds to the student athletes. And so to answer your question, and I've learned a great deal here myself about how to help kids do it, but he talks about student athletes. He talks about student athletes being CEOs. And you might want to play in the NBA, but have you ever thought about owning an NBA team? Because the owners of the NBA teams are not basketball players. You can be challenged, and I think that's what we do. We challenge our student athletes. We have a student right now who, when you're a student athlete, sometimes you'll have a major that someone will say, like take for example engineering. Oh man, that's gonna be hard to do here. Well, we got a kid who we challenged. He challenged the status quo in terms of that, And I mean, and he punching his way through it. He'll graduate. He'll graduate this year with a degree in cybersecurity, and it's been a dogfight for him, but he just punched through it. And coach challenged him at the beginning, but coach challenges everybody, and I do the same. I challenge not only student athletes but our managers, our graduate assistants. We challenge them to think. We challenge them to think outside the box, and to think about who they are and how they are. And now, does this still fit? Do you still fit in the space you said you want to be in? Or is it a space that maybe you fit a little better in? Shoot for the stars. Be all you can be. All of those cliches. I think it's very important that we push that and we challenge them for that. Because a lot of times, now I've been at different schools where student athletes come in and they go right into general studies and that's it. Well, we're not doing that. We're going to challenge you and try and figure out what specific degree or area you would like to challenge yourself with, and let's help you fight to get through it.
So you touched on the ability to challenge these young men to be successful. We talked about off the court. Obviously, you've had success with challenging players to be successful on the court. You have the experience of not only recruiting, because obviously, the whole premise is more than just a recruiter, but not only recruiting, but developing. And I remember, Monte Morris, who you talked about your connection to the Mustangs. Monte played for the Mustangs. Played alongside Derek Walton. I remember watching, both of them play in high school. I remember they would go back and forth depending on who you talk to, who was the best guard in the state, right? The conversation would shift back and forth. Talk to me about the ability to develop players and get the most out of them and get their highest potential. Obviously, we're seeing, players that have played here signing max deals. So talk to me a little bit about the preparation for the journey that they have ahead.
Well, I mean, on the court, the real deal is, man, you got to push. I mean, you got to push. There is no, like, if you want to be a great player, then you work out with me because I'm going to push you the whole time. And there is no walking in workouts. You know what I mean? Even if it's just you, not 2 or 3 guys in the workout, if it's just you, there is no walking in workouts. Everything is pushed to a level. And because when you step on that court, you don't have guys that you playing against where the level is where you can take a playoff or a break, and you got to go hard. You cannot leave a stone unturned. And I think for me in particular, when guys can eat my workouts, because Monte ate my workouts. When George Niang ate my workouts. Cassius Robertson ate my workouts. When you can eat my workouts and just get through it and then maybe even ask for more, then you teetering on a level that you're supposed to be on. And the furthest I've ever lived from the facilities at any school was 13 minutes. And that's done intentionally. Here at Mizzou, I'm 6 to 8 minutes away. Because if somebody needs to get in the gym, I'm there. If I'm at home and they just decided all of a sudden, I'm there. It's at the end of the day, I think for me, pushing guys is the deal. Now, it goes right back to you have to have a relationship with them to be able to push them to that level. If you don't have a relationship with them, they don't want to be bothered with you pushing them. They don't want to hear nothing from you. If they know that you got love for them and that you are trying to get the best out of them for them, then they'll do anything for you. Because really, they're not doing it for me. They're doing it for themselves, and I make that very clear. And you get to change your life if you do it. It's only 4 years. It's only 4 years. And really, and I say this, and sometimes guys look at me crazy, but it's just work. Let's say you go out and work out for 35 minutes. Well, you're going to work out for 35 minutes. No matter what, that 35 minutes you work it. You might as well work your tail off for 35 minutes. If you running back to the starting spot, you probably just added 2 more reps to your workout. Well, let's go, let's go, let's push. And then throughout the workouts, you're always working on that. When the player is going through it, because you're pushing them, but you're always working on their mental ability, because they're going to fatigue. Fatigue make a mice of most people. And so now you're working on the mental toughness as they go through the workout. You're working on the mental toughness because physically they fatigue, but you're strengthening the brain, which is going to tell the body to keep going. And you're able to focus through times of adversity, just because through those workouts, every workout you had, it was adversity, singular adversity, because it's just you and me and you going through it and I'm pushing you. And so when you hit the court, you at that level, and that level ain't dropping. And so I think for me, that's been the part that I've been able to add to the student athletes, and sitting around, just flat out sitting around, having great conversations about being a great player, what it means to be a great player, what it takes to be a great player. And being a great player also means being a great teammate. Being a great player also means being extremely coachable. And so you got a long list of things that's really not that long. It shortens out to character, hard work, coachability, which to me is tied into character, and the ability to have whatever God gave you. Let's take that, let's work that. Faith without works is dead. Let's take that, let's work that, and see where you can get. Because everybody ain't a pro. They run around like they are. And there's a lot of guys that's very talented. And if they work, they could be a pro. But there's a lot of excuses going around. There's a lot of guys taking days off. There's a lot of guys that are actually scared of success. It's easier to fail, so they are actually scared to go through the process to see if they're going to be successful.
You understand success. You've not only accomplished it, but you've replicated it. And that's when somebody tells me, oh, that kid's a great shooter, I'm looking to see, is his form replicable? Is he shooting the same shot every time? Can he continuously showcase that success no matter what the setting is, whether he's at home, on the road, jamboree setting, whatever it may be? So for me, I look at not only sustained success, but success over a long period of time and in different environments, 4 conference championships at different schools. So in a industry where a lot of the value is placed on Black coaches, on their ability to recruit and go get players, you've made a name for yourself as obviously an amazing recruiter. You've gone and gotten some guys, but as a developer, as a winner, and as a person that instills culture in a program, talk to me about transcending beyond the space of being a recruiter or being a guy that can go get players, and like you said, being a pro in your role.
Okay, so what I did was, when I left, I took my first Division I job. So the Division III job that I started out as a graduate assistant, I did everything. I was a JV coach. I was a weight room guy. I recruited, because you recruiting for the university, for the JV team, and for varsity. So I wore many hats. So that was the beginning at the college level. Then you get to high school, junior college, whatever it is. And so when I left to go to Central Michigan, I talked to Jay Smith. Jay Smith offered me a job at Central Michigan. And when I talked to Jay, I told Jay Smith, I know that people think that I'm a recruiter. And I mean, this is my first Division I job, but people think that I'm a recruiter. And I said, I'm telling you right now, there's no way I would take this job unless you can tell me that I will have a role on the court. I want to know what the role is. And he told me. And I kept him to it, and he kept me working. And that was a great experience from the volume of work I had. Not only did I recruit at a high level at Central Michigan, but I coached at a high level, individual workouts at a high level. And there was a guy there, Dave Groove, who was a head coach at Kent when I was a player, Kent State when I was a player. He was the top assistant on the staff. When I got to work, my office was the first door, his office was the second door. I'd come in the office, put my stuff down, and go sit right in his office and start talking basketball. And I learned a great deal that way. And was it intentional? I love Dave Groove as a person, and he really enjoyed sharing. And so it was easy. It was just normal to go in there and sit with him and talk basketball. Then when I left there, I went to Western Michigan. I'm with Coach Hawkins. Same exact thing. I told him that I will obviously recruit because we have to have players, but that's not what I do. So let's talk about what my role will be on the court, because I'm not taking a job as a recruiter. I won't do that. I did that everywhere I went. Brian Gregory at Dayton, he already knew what the deal was. Plus, he knew me well enough to know my value other than recruiting. And then Fred Hoiberg, when I met with him, now Fred didn't know me from anybody. So when I met Fred, I met him at the Pro Combine. And he was watching some guys play, some of his former players or whatever. Well, he was just leaving. So some of his former players from when he was with Minnesota Timberwolves, or guys that they were talking to or talking about, whatever that was. So I met him at the hotel that night. I had watched 2 games. The Morris brothers was with Kansas at the time. And one of the games was Kansas. And so we sit down and talk. And again, he didn't know me from anybody. And so the way I even got the job was to sit and I showed him on film why his defense was awful and why there's no chance you can win games defending like this. And it was the Kansas Iowa State game, and I remember the Morris twins because they was killing Iowa State. And so I showed them in what ways that we could have prevented, those guys from killing them. And we sat there for maybe 45 minutes and watched film, and I drew up some defensive drills and thoughts and a little mock of a practice plan real quick. And he offered me the job after about an hour. And he did not offer me the job because I can recruit. That was not why he offered me the job. He offered me the job because he knew I could help him win games, especially defending and helping him with the practice plan and getting through a real college level practice, because at the time he had only coached in his life 1 year. And so what I'm saying is, before I would take a job, I'd always talk to the head coach and tell him, if you hiring me to be a recruiter, I'm not your guy. And I would keep him on that when I get to campus. Plus, once you see me hit the court, you know my value.
So you've given back, and you've done, obviously, you were at BCAM last week. I heard it was just an amazing presentation. You're a basketball guy. You're a guy that, obviously, because of your teaching background, you're an instructor, you're a teacher. You make sure that guys around you get it. Talk to me about the value and the importance of more clinicians and more guys that look like us in the industry investing into their continued education or continued education training and making themselves better in every facet and avenue of the game versus, obviously we get into the everyday, run of life and things get busy and we're recruiting and we're, trying to make sure our players are eligible, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Talk to me about the importance of taking some time out to sharpen your tools and work on your craft as a coach while you're asking that of your players.
Well, I think that's paramount. I think it's very important. I got this job here at the University of Missouri. I've known Coach Martin for a long time, but the way we've known each other and the way he gained respect for what I do is when we would see each other out recruiting or wherever Final Fours, he'd pick my brain on something basketball. He'd pick my brain every time, and then it'd be during the year. He'll call me and say, "Hey, Corn, what y'all doing on this, or how y'all guarding ball screens?" And so even during that time, he was figuring out whether or not I was the type of guy that he would have work for him. It's very important to sharpen your tools. It's very important. I don't think you can have enough clinics. I really value small clinics, meaning, if you get in a room with, like, say, 10 guys, 6 guys, show me your best out of bounds plays. Everybody get up and show them your best out of bounds plays. Let's talk about, how do you guys guard ball screens? Okay, that's how you guard them. Okay, how do you implement them? How do you practice those habits? And a lot of times you can do that. I was just in Ohio recruiting, and I was talking to a coach about our transition because last year, analytically, we were number 4 in the country in pace. And so he was like, Corn, what you think about, we want to play fast. What you think about that? What can you tell me? I ain't tell you nothing. You got some paper? You got a pen? And so we sat there, we talked. I drew up some of the drills that we do, gave him some of the thoughts and terminology that we use. And I like doing that as much as you can. I love it. I mean, because how can you say you want to be a great coach? Or how can you say you want to do things at a championship level? Or how can you tell these student athletes and their parents that you're going to do everything you can for them when you're not actually doing enough for yourself that you can elevate your game in order to elevate their game? And so I really enjoy clinics. I do. I enjoy speaking clinics. I enjoy on-court clinics more. I think it's important to have both. But that BCAM I really, really enjoyed. I had a great time doing it. I saw a couple other people present. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was done at a high level. And I did get some great feedback right away. And, it was a Hall of Fame guy who, Mike Ingram, he was in the Hall of Fame that same weekend. He was put in the Hall of Fame. And he called me the next day and sent me video of him implementing 2 or 3 of the drills that I had went over the day before, and just making sure that he done things the right way. And those are the things that, as a coach, if you really want to be a coach, then those are the things you do. You seek that. You seek people who've done well in the area or in the space that, well, how about a 1-3-1? Well, who's the best 1-3-1 guy around? Let's find him and see if he's okay with us hitting the practice, if he can send us some film, or if we can come and sit and talk with him. So I think that's crazy important for young, even old coaches to continue to sharpen their tools, because some things change. Sometimes as a student athlete that change, but we have to adjust too. As coaches, we have to make adjustments in how we implement things, or how things are talked about, or how you get a kid from A to B to C to D. It's not the same every year. It's not the same every time. And the student athlete certainly isn't the same.
When I interviewed DJ, Dwayne Stevens, last year, he credited you with a lot of mentorship for him. One of the things that, take basketball out of it, one of the things that our community tends to lack from men is somebody to lean on, somebody to be able to let them know when we're not all right, or when we need a shoulder to lean on, or somebody to uplift them. Talk to me a little bit about the relationships that you've built, both inside of basketball, but overall just throughout your life, that have allowed you to sometimes, pour into others' cups, but have others pour into yours, and the importance of genuine relationships on this journey that you've been on.
Well, so the first thing is I would not compromise anything or any relationship in terms of, I don't need any more friends if these people are not going to be for the student athlete. I don't need that. anybody that know me knows why I coach. And so I'm very selective in terms of who I deal with, because there's a lot of people that's not on the same page. With that being said, obviously me and DJ grew up like brothers. And you do need somebody to talk to. You need somebody to run things by. Obviously he's been a part of some teams at a high level, and he's been able to sustain success at a high level. And so we've been able to bounce things off of each other and help each other throughout a career. And it's been awesome. Sometimes you get information, and you can run that information by him, and it might not be the same information. And everybody don't know that him and I are family. And so sometimes, the same person will tell him something different than they told me. So it get a little crazy, but you do need people in the business. So DJ is one, and he's my cousin, but he's also my best friend. The other one is Dave Greer, who coached me as a senior at Akron, and he's the head coach at Wayne State University. Derek Wittenberg, who won national championship at NC State, he coached me at University of Colorado. And between those three guys, my entire career, I never made moves without those three guys. Now, it don't mean that I'm gonna go and do exactly what they say, or whatever advice. I might hear them and go in another direction, but I do not make moves without talking to those three guys. And you're talking about three guys that at different levels was champions. I mean, Coach Greer still on the assist record at Bowling Green. And Coach Wittenberg obviously was a national champion and a part of some unbelievable programs as an assistant, but also had some great success at Wagner as a head coach. But those three guys is who I count on in my life, in my career. And now that I'm here, of course, Coach Martin. But it's very important to have those guys, and it's important to have the right guys that fit you. Those guys fit me. Those guys know me. Those guys know my journey. They know where I come from. They know my good, the bad, and indifferent. They know it all. And they don't mind telling me the tough stuff. They don't mind telling me the tough stuff. And I need people to be able to tell me the tough stuff. That's one of the things that I do. I tell, this is not fun to be the guy, like whatever staffs I've been on, I've been the guy to have to go in and tell a head coach tough things. Because everybody on the staff, wherever I've been, everybody they only want to tell him good stuff. Well, I've been like, when I took the job here, I told Coach Martin, I said, now, other places I've been that guy. So at some point you're gonna be like, all right, here come Corn again. But it's things that need to be said, or you need to be alerted to, or let's talk about, whatever it is. It cannot go untalked about or unsaid. It has to be addressed. And as an assistant coach, that's what I am. It's gonna be addressed by the head coach. And so how can he address anything that he don't know nothing about? You know what I mean? And so is important to have those relationships. It's also important to allow those relationships to be wide open, so they can really help you and you can really help them. And it's helped my career. DJ helped my career. Everybody I named, they really helped my career.
So you've had a career that's encompassed high school, grassroots, Division III, Division II, Division I, low major, mid major, high major. You've seen it all. How have all of those experiences combined to make you prepared for the moment when you get your opportunity to run your own program?
Well, the one thing I've always said is, because I've been fortunate to be a part of championships. I've been a championship everywhere I've been. And so the thing is you know what it looked like. You know what it looked like. You know what a championship practice looked like. You know what a championship level drill looks like. You know what championship effort looked like. And AAU championship, yeah. Junior college, no, not a championship. But again, it was the best start in Kobe Community College history. We played at a very high level. I think that's it. I know when I see what I see. Now, with that being said, you have to recruit to that. And one of the things that I like about the stops or the places that I've been and the coaches that I've worked for and the programs I've been a part of is most of those programs wanted to play fast. I want to play fast. I believe in playing fast. I believe in guys. I believe in other team getting tired. I believe in, if you're gonna play, I never understood this, but when I coached AAU, okay, I got this team and we have, let's say 9 guys. I look down at the other end, they have 6. I don't care how good they are. We win in this game. We're just gonna run them in the ground. And it takes toughness, both physical and mental, to get through that. And again, when we talked about how guys have to eat my workouts, well, if you're working out with me, you are building mental toughness through the whole thing. And I think you're building adversity, singular adversity through the whole thing, which is transferred and translated to practice, then translated to the game. I believe in putting pressure on you both sides of the ball, putting pressure on you full court, and then pushing it down your throat and putting pressure on you in that way as well, without compromising, being solid and not gambling defensively. Those are the ways that you win. Those are the ways that you win, other than the fact that the players have to love you, and they should, because you are giving them, forget the opportunity, you actually get an opportunity to coach them, but they love you because you show them why they should love you. They'll play for you because you showed them why they should play for you. And if they don't, if it's a chink in the armor in terms of the relationship, to me, it's up to the coach to fix that. The student athlete is a student athlete. I think that the biggest misconception in today's society is the fact that these young people have changed. Well, times have changed, young people change. They are different, they come up different. Facts, all of that is real. But that don't mean as adults we compromise core values. Core values should be core values no matter what. And so I think it's important for that to be first and foremost. I think that is the most important thing. And of course, I can't wait to get an opportunity to be a head coach. If you ask me, maybe every coach thinks they should be a head coach. If they don't, I don't know what's going on with that. And then some coaches don't want to be a head coach. I get that, because it's a lot to chew. It's a lot to move over one seat is a lot. I understand that. But I think it's important for even the head coach. Coach Martin knows full well that I want to be a head coach, and he's going to do whatever he can to assist me in doing so. And he's highly regarded, so he got a lot of relationships that he can pull from. But he also has to be confident that I'm the guy, that I can do that, because he has to speak to that. And I think he feels that way about me and what I can do. But at the end of the day, I think for me is the student athlete first, making sure they know that you care and love them. Then you take the court and you push them and challenge them. Then you help them aspire to be, whatever it is, but you help them aspire to be. Most of them already aspire to be a pro in terms of basketball, but you aspire them to be more than just that. Just like we talking about being more than a recruiter, the student athlete is more than an athlete. And so when you take those things and then you add the fact that we want to play a fun style, or at least I'd like to implement a fun style, and a fast-paced game for fans and student athletes to really enjoy, then everybody's happy. Then everybody's happy. The athletic director's happy. Obviously, the head coaches be happy. The student athletes are happy. The fans are excited. And I think that's what we're doing here. I think we play fast. Number 4, analytically, in pace. I think we play fast, and coach want to play faster. And so, when it presents itself, then I'll be ready for it. Until then, I'll be the best assistant I can be. I told Coach Martin after I did a clinic, I did a clinic, and I felt like after the clinic, I felt like, I told Coach, I said, you know what, Coach, I got more to give. And now think about what you asked about earlier in terms of sharpening your tools. If I did not go to that clinic, I would not have that feel. I would have just, you think you win and you think you've done well, but you still got to get better. And that clinic really helped me get better. The clinic was for me as an assistant coach to advance to being a head coach. But it's crazy because what I got out of it was not necessarily for me, but it was the fact that after I listened to all these speakers and athletic directors, high-level people, what I got from it, the number one thing I got from it was, hey, Coach, I got more to give. So put more on my plate. Let me take more off your plate. And he appreciated the fact that I came away with that, and he did add to my plate, no doubt about it.
So over the course of this interview, I've learned a lot about your journey and a lot about you. And obviously we have a relationship, so I know, you more as a person than as a coach. But a couple of the key takeaways that I've had from this interview is you're a man of character, a man of integrity, and a man of a standard. And none of those things are you allowing to be shifted, manipulated, or changed in the moment or for an opportunity or for a situation. What would you say is the main thing outside of those 3 things, or maybe even encompassing those 3 things, that you want somebody watching this that has never met Cornell Mann, never encountered you? What do you want them to take away from who you are and what you've done? Obviously, on the court and developing on the court, but extending beyond that 94 feet.
Well, so the way I was brought up in this business is not about me. And so sometimes that's a great question, but sometimes it's a hard question to answer because it's not about me. But what I would like people to understand is if you watch this video, if you hear anything different about me, opposite of this video, understand that what I'm telling you and what I'm saying, I live that. This is not a commercial or advertisement for what's next in Cornell Mann's life. This is the truth about who I am and how I am in terms of how I approach this job and how I approach life in general as a coach. And not just a coach of basketball, but a coach of life. When I was at whatever schools I was at, the one thing I never knew until maybe University of Dayton, I never knew that student athletes had exit interviews with the athletic director. And so all of a sudden, the last few places I've been, the athletic director come to me and tell me how they appreciate what I've done. Mind you, they didn't say that prior to. So they didn't know. But when a student was on his way out, they told the athletic directors how Coach Mann is not just about basketball, how he really helped me with my life. And that is the biggest compliment that a student athlete or anybody can give me. Because when that ball stopped bouncing, whatever I did and however I was is still with you. The basketball part is the basketball part. If I did not impact you in terms of your life, in my opinion, I did not do a good job. I think it's important for coaches to be life coaches. Basketball is part of being a life coach and being a teacher of life. And so that would be the thing that I would say, like, if you hear anything about me, know that if you heard any of these speaking platforms I've been on, or clinics that I worked at or presented at, I'm not blowing smoke. I'm not talking just rhetoric. This is not jargon. I live what I'm talking about, and I know that the student athletes know that, understand that. But I think it would help if everybody understood that. If you come in contact with me, and I want you to know that too. I want you to talk about that too. I don't want to just, hey, Corn, hey man, what about this recruit? I don't want to talk about that for real. What I want to talk about is, do you know what? So Coach Corn, do you know that I made X amount of dollars because you had that broker come on and do a Zoom about stocks when I was a student athlete? Now I've done great in the stock market because I wish, as a student athlete, I could have gotten involved in the stock market. I've just gotten involved in the last 2 years. And one of the former managers is a broker, is one of my best friends, but he's a broker. And we're doing it again this year, but he's gonna come on and teach these guys about stocks A to Z, but also about cryptocurrency A to Z. And right now we only have 3 guys returning. All three of those guys are invested in the stock market. And I think those are the type of things, because they'll do that for the rest of their life. Those are the type of things I'd like to be known and remembered for, other than obviously basketball. Basketball is basketball. But those are the other things I'd like to really be talked about or remembered for.